Yeah. All right. Happy Wednesday, guys. I'm here with Lissette Hurtado, and we are here today to talk about, should I make those repairs before selling my house? I hear it all the time. And sometimes it's a little bit different, right? Sometimes it's a week, 2 weeks before you're about to list a house, which, if you're on the ball and you've got a plan, you can make it happen. Sometimes it's 6 months out, a year out, 5 years out, and you're saying, hey, I want to do these things, but is it worth it money-wise? You got some people that are money conscious, which makes sense. And for some people who are looking to sell today, right, they want to get this sucker in a week, too, on the market. They really would just want to know, is it worth $1 spent to make $2? Is that going to happen? And I think those are great questions, and you're not always going to give the same answer because every situation is a little bit different, right? So I think it's a great question. Lissette, let's start with you, man. Like, give us some ideas on that question, some things maybe you've told different sellers in the past.
Well, I really like to understand where these sellers are financially also. Is this something feasible for them? Is there room in the budget for them to make any repairs or renovations? If the answer is yes, let's go move forward modestly. You don't want to renovate the entire house where it's a brand new home now, but you do want to make those repairs that you're going to be concerned may pop up in the inspection. So one great step to take right up in the beginning is just do a home inspection. See if there's any issues that you're not aware of and address those issues. It's going to save you so much time and money on later on in the deal.
Yeah, and that's a great point. That's something that we've really been pushing a lot lately with our listings. Is it's cheap, $300-400 to get an inspector to come in before you get that sucker on the market. They give you a list of everything. You're going to get the list anyway. It's going to come out. But what happens is you might get 7, 8, 15. You're not going to get 15, 11 offers on your property, and boom, you've got all these great choices. But as soon as you pick that one, all the others go on to the next property because this market's hot. They know they got to make a decision quick. So you lose all those people, and that person who you took, they know it. So as soon as that inspection is over, 4, 5, 6 days later, they're going to come after you on cost. They're going to beat up something. And maybe it's a $200 issue, and they're going to ask you for $1,000 off the price for it. Maybe it's a $1,000 issue, and they want $3,000 off, right? So if you can get that pre-listing inspection done, it's going to save you so much money. And like you said, Lissette, it's also going to give you that whole list of things to do. So a lot of times if you get that list and it's 17 things, 16 of the 17 are probably really cheap, really simple. There's things that you can get done immediately. And I'm telling you, on 90% of the listings I take, if you've got 17 things and 16 things aren't really that big of an issue, you can probably get 16 of those done in a week for $1,000 or less. And it's going to make it like, think of what that looks like as a buyer. You come in and you're like, man, home ownership, especially if you're a new buyer, right? It's the first time you ever purchased a home, and you start looking at that list and you're like, crap, this is a lot. But if all of a sudden you look at that list of 17 and it's, hey, I fixed this and I fixed this and I fixed this and I fixed, oh, by the way, here's the receipt, here's the receipt, here's the receipt. Whoo! Now I feel pretty comfortable, right? So I think that's a great solution to a lot of these little problems. Tell us more.
I think painting is the one thing I think every seller can do their home, which will completely transform their home. Not only is it going to give it a fresh new like facelift, new look, you're also going to want to paint it a neutral color, an inviting color where people can envision the furniture, how they want to decorate their home. So if you have bold colors like red and greens and dark blues, just paint it a nice neutral gray or beige, and it'll make a world of a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's a sweet spot too, not with everything, but with a lot of these, where if you're going to do it yourself, the cost of the materials is almost always at or less than what you would get when you sell extra, right? But if you're going to pay for a professional to do it, now it's probably not going to make you a profit, right? So a lot of times I tell people, like, it depends. Are you going to do it or is somebody else going to do it? If somebody else is going to do it, you're probably not going to make money on it. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. There's other reasons that you would want to do it or not do it. But a lot of times, unless you're going to do it yourself, you're probably not going to make your money back on it. Paint is one of those things that everybody can paint, right? I can't do a lot of things. I can't lay tile. I don't know how to put carpet down. I am just a nerd. I'm a real estate selling nerd, and I can't do stuff like that, right? But with paint, I can paint. So that's pretty cheap. It's pretty simple. All you're really investing is your time. So then it comes down to, and this is with a lot of this stuff, right? convenience versus money. If you tell people, because they ask you, and a lot of times I think the reason they ask you is they're hoping you give them the out. No, Bob, you don't need to fix any of that stuff. It's $5,000 worth of, we'll just take $5,000 off in price. But that's not how it works, right? Nobody's going to pay $5,000 less for a house that has $5,000 worth of issues. They're going to want to pay $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 less. And the reason is, why wouldn't they just pay $5,000 more and get the house that has all those things fixed? And now they can finance that $5,000 in instead of paying cash, because nobody wants to pay cash. Your finances are in the high 2s to mid 3s. So why wouldn't I do that? And it's quick and easy. It's convenient, right? So unless you're going to do it, and my God, don't do it unless you know how to do it. How many times you have someone come up and they're like, I'll do it myself. You come back and you're like, dude, this looks worse than when I came here the first time. You ever get that?
All the time. I think it's also important to keep in mind you're competing with other properties on the market. So if you address a lot of these issues firsthand and the buyer comes in and has your property and another property compared to, the other property needs $2,000 worth of work, your property already, you address those issues up front, which one do you think they're going to make the offer on? Yep. So keep in mind who you're competing against on the market.
Yeah. Now let's go a little bit back in the timeline, right? When you get this question, it's a week, 2 weeks, a month out from listing. A lot of these questions come down to analytics, right? You can do the research. You can see, does adding granite countertops get me the money back that I'm going to invest? And you can look, right? You can get an estimate and you can look at comps with granite, without granite. You can see the difference and you can see if it makes sense. But what about people who just bought? And they know, hey, I'm getting this house because I got a job here, probably going to be here 4 to 6 years based on, the past experience I've had with this company. Does it make sense for me to redo the kitchen, to redo the bathroom, to redo the backyard? And a lot of times my response is, you got a couple things going on here. Number one, we got to talk about you, right? For me, even if I'm going to live in a home for 4 to 6 years, if I don't like the kitchen, and the kitchen's going to cost me $4, $5, $6,000, I'm going to put $4, $5, $6,000 in regardless, because I know even though I might only get 80, 90% of that back, number one, I'm going to get 80, 90% back. So really, I'm only losing 10 to 20%. Not a big deal, right? Number two, it's for me. I want to enjoy it as the guy who's going to own that property for 4 to 6 years. And number three, and this goes for all this stuff, whether you call a month out before you're going to list it, or whether it's right after you bought it and you're thinking 4 to 6 years down the road. Money is one aspect of should we do it or shouldn't we do it, but time is another aspect. Now in this market, the difference between selling fast and not selling fast is 4 weeks, right? Yeah. If you got a great listing, it's selling in a day. If you got a horrible listing, it's selling in 4 weeks. Like, that's the difference. But when you get into a buyer's market, the difference could be months. Right? A hot listing might sell in 2-3 months. That's a hot listing. Mm-hmm. If you've got a listing that isn't showing that well, they've got repairs needed, they're $10,000 over what market value is, that sucker might take 9 to 12 months to sell in a buyer's market. I remember that back in 2007, 2008. So it doesn't just come down to money. Sometimes it comes down to timelines too. Do you see anything like that when you've got buyers that just closed on a property and they start asking you, oh my God, we're thinking about all these things. Lissette, does it make sense or not make sense? What are your responses to that?
Yeah, I think the biggest question is asked, how long are you going to be in the property as well? Again, if it's something like you say, they're only going to be there for a matter of a couple of years. My answer is probably going to be do the minimal work. Keep up the property, keep it looking nice and good. Do your maintenance, do your to-dos every weekend. But don't invest a lot of money, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 if you're planning to sell within a year or two. But if you're going to be there for a little bit longer, not only are you doing it for yourself, but you're also doing it for future resale value.
All right. So we're going to end with this. And I've got mine already. I'm going to hold back on what it is. But what is your number one thing when you come into a property, whether you bought it, you invested in it, it's a friend, family member, whatever, who just purchased the property, the number one thing that if it's not renovated, you would suggest renovating it?
Wow. Okay. So this is going to be a toss-up. Yeah. Between kitchens and bathrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are two really biggies. Especially nowadays, everyone's looking for that big open concept kitchen. So that's one. And if you have older cabinets, sometimes those are some simple fixes. You could paint them. But bathrooms are also another big one. If you have the older, ugly cabinets, you might want to think about renovating that and give that a nice little fresh touch up.
Yes. I think that granite countertops are the way to go. When you walk into a home and you see the laminate countertops, right? The old mica counter, you're just kind of like, you know, you just get that feeling. And that's kind of where everybody comes to. Dude, a bedroom's a bedroom. Unless you're spending a lot of money and you've got custom ceilings and crown moldings and like, unless you're talking in higher priced homes. But if you're looking at average priced homes, a bedroom's a bedroom. But the difference between one kitchen and another can be huge. So for me, a cheap, simple way to really jack up the luxury in a house is that granite. I love granite though. I like granite. I know a lot of people like quartz. I'm not I just you like quartz, don't you?
I just put quartz in my kitchen. So yeah, I do. It's very sought after, but you know, it's a toss up. People between granite and quartz, I really don't think you could go wrong if you're going to plan on selling it. It's a nice upgrade.
Quartz is a little bit more than granite, isn't it?
It's a bit pricier, and it all depends on the size of the kitchen. That is huge. Yeah.
But it's not a lot pricier. If I remember right, it's what, 10, 20% pricier?
Yeah, it's not a huge difference. I think it's definitely what you prefer. Are you okay spending a little bit more? I think you're also going to bring a different amount of buyers in also that are looking for that quartz or are looking for what's fresh and new and the new trend.
Yes. But we can both agree that Formica sucks.
Yes.
I just offended half the people watching. That's all right. Get some granite, get some quartz, man. All right, let's end there. I appreciate it, Lissette. Have a rocking day.
You have a great day, Joe. Bye, everybody.
See ya.